Water Improvement District. Let the record reflect that we have Steve Brown, Kent Norris, Tina French, and Bill Sexton in attendance. Kathy Kramer is unfortunately still ill and will not be with us today. With that, do I hear a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I move so.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Consent agenda is accepted. We'll now move to comments from citizens present. We have one person signed up to speak to the board, Miles Schlesinger.
Miles Schlesinger, Lincoln City, Oregon. I'd like to make a suggestion to the board. I was at a January City Council meeting with Tina French and Josh Brainerd was introduced. And I think this is the right time. I don't know if there have been any additional meetings, but I think this is the right time to have an update and invite the members of the City Council to see the aeration system going in whenever that is scheduled. And Steve Brown could give him a boat ride to the site, or Tina French, or I can ask Noel to do it, so that we can have the city involved, because I think that Josh has made a great impression with them, and I think this time is right for taking advantage of that, because we're doing something that has the potential of cleaning up the lake, and I'm optimistic that it will.
I think that we should probably, I like that idea, Miles, but I think that we should probably send out an email invite, because getting on an agenda before the installation might be tricky.
Well, and I think Josh is going to give us an update on when that installation will be tonight. So I think he just got recent news today. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
so
With John earlier.
The
I
second,
like that idea. I think rent the pontoon boat from Noel and take him out there would be fun.
the second thing I'd like to do is ask the city, or ask the board of the Devil's Lake Water Improvement District to ask their compatriots who live within the city borders to be aware that this is an important election, as they all are, but this is important, and Dick Anderson serves on our sewer committee as the liaison from the city council, and he's involved in that. And Miss Susan Walkie serves on our budget committee, and I think they're both capable people, and I haven't decided who I'm voting for yet, but I'd encourage you to vote, because every vote counts, and I think it's important that we have a friend on the city council.
hopefully they're not the only two friends that we have.
Yeah.
So thanks, Miles.
Thank you.
Thanks for your input. Thanks for all your hard work, too. All right. Do I have any other citizens present that were not able to sign up that would like to speak? All right. With that, we'll go to unfinished business. Do we have a report from, no report from the sewer committee?
No, we didn't have a meeting tonight. We have decided as a committee, until the Civil West report comes back to us, we're just in a holding pattern.
And Josh, when can we expect that final report?
We're only awaiting comments from the city at this point. They had told us ahead of time when we were putting the plan together. They had a lot of projects going at the moment, so they would get them to us as expediently as possible. So I will put in a word with them and see where we're at.
But I think we're kind of expecting to have a report by our October meeting, so about
I
a month.
believe so. That was our
That's
anticipated
if
timeline.
the city gets them the info that they're looking for.
Correct. And it's
That's
not
a big piece of it.
It is a very important piece of it.
All right, thank you. Special Projects Committee report. Bill?
Very briefly, I didn't want to take up too much time, but we did do our West Devils Lake Road cleanup with 15 volunteers. Thank you, 15 people that showed up. And Susie Henderson for some pretty awesome chili. We picked up roughly 250 pounds on West Devils Lake Road from 101 to 101, from the north end to the south end, or the west end, I guess. Didn't really find too many odd things other than the normal, no kitchen sinks, no couches, no refrigerators. Those are on the east side, but
Bumpers.
in addition to that, I just want to thank a few people that continue to operate their Airstream units and aqua thruster units. And Larry and Mary Ellen, thanks for waiting patiently for your parts. Dwayne and Tammy Nicolason, which they have an aqua thruster, they run all summer long. Nate Levine is a canal owner that's kind of accessible because of the water levels, but he still runs his, so thank him. Mary Gahn, she lives over west of, on Lake Drive, west of Regatta Grounds, and she's basically runs the thing off her dock pointing towards Brown Bear Park. So she had some algae issues, and somehow or another they're all gone. Anyway, and then one more person on Thompson Creek with John and Debbie Flores. They have an aqua thruster in there. They use it all summer long, all year long
In the
as well.
creek?
In Thompson Creek,
Oh, wow.
in the canal.
In the canal.
Oh, okay.
Up canal from Larry and Mary Ellen's.
Okay.
And then with the addition of the big unit that Devil's Lake Water Improvement owns is now at Vivian's, moving approximately 24 million gallons a day. So that's the impact that we're seeing this late in the year with non-algae issues. There's no buildup. There's no areas that are considered odorous. So obviously something's different, and that's the only thing different that's been going on in the water. So we can just thank those people for their commitment, and we'll move on as we get our new system, aeration system, installed next month. So that's our deal. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
People that have them, are they happy with?
Ecstatic. There's no option. There is, but I don't know
Yeah.
if you can get it.
I wonder if we
Campbell?
should, like, maybe ask for some testimonials from those people and put a picture and put them up on the website.
Yeah,
'Cause I know that other lake owners have asked me about them, and and I didn't know we had that many. I thought we just had Larry and Mary's and yours. So
Yeah,
that's
there's
cool.
Yeah, that would work.
2,
And
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units in the lake.
Oh, 8.
And Bill also asked us, staff, to put together a total of how much water that's moving, so we can kind of quantify
Yeah.
how much benefit. So before the next board meeting, we'll get something together for you.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks, Josh.
And maybe put a little news blip out on the
yeah.
website.
Absolutely. And anyone, the website thing is, I can take care of that very easily. But if Bill wants me to approach any of those homeowners or people, I'd be more than happy to reach out to them. So.
Or testimonials?
Yeah.
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 awesome.
Yeah, and just a little
Sure.
snapshot,
Sure.
maybe.
Great.
Cool.
Well, something's working because
Our website is up, and you can share that with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's up.
Well, I'd say something's working because I don't think at this late a date in the year we've never had the water clarity that we've had. And I don't know are you taking any clarity measurements now, Josh, off the top of your head? Do you know what water clarity is?
Our last clarity was over 10 feet.
Very
It
good.
is absolutely ridiculous. I think many of the people who are here can see off the docks in 6 feet of water or so, and you can see the grains of sand on the bottom. So we've had a very, very great year so far. And I am taking those turbidity measurements and stuff along with our EXO equipment every week on a minimum too. So
Okay, great. I know that I happened to visit with my son. We were at Diamond Lake this last week, and then we took a trip to Crater Lake, and they have the world record for Secchi depth of 134 feet. Can you imagine
Wow.
seeing that disc down 134 feet
Where's that?
in
Crater Lake.
Crater
Oh,
Lake?
oh,
That was pretty amazing. So,
Blue Lake in Central Oregon
Mhm.
by Settle Lake is
Right.
like that too. You can,
Right.
they don't even know how deep that lake is.
right. Very good. All right. Do we have a report on Save Our Shoreline? Anything from Mary Ellen?
Where is that?
Well, we're coming to the end of leaving the floating garden out in the water, and we'll move it back in about middle of October probably. But it's just flourishing. I'm about to divide and put them other places, but probably wait until spring. But it is just full of blooms now, or grass. A lot of grass, a lot of everything's living and doing well. So we have out on the back table, Josh printed color copies of the how to build your own. So that'll be on the website too?
I can get it on the website, and if anybody wants to drop by the office and just wants a print copy, feel free or email me ahead of time, and I'll
And
get it
we
ready
should,
for you.
we should mention, Larry noticed it today, he was proofreading,
Oh, no.
that it should be capped bottles that go inside the PVC pipes.
Right.
I think that was a given, but we probably should state it just in case.
Good call.
Thank you.
All right. Next, projects and operations. I guess that's up to you, Josh.
Mm-hmm. All right. Our lake bottom conservation aeration project is in full swing right now. I just today got an update from Lake Savers and John Tucci on that. Run down this really quick. The airline is in and ready to ship. The compressor is in stock and ready to put in the enclosure. The drive unit is assembled and ready to ship. The manifold's ready to ship. The diffusers are ready to ship. The fittings and components are ready to ship. And the enclosure is actually being revised right now to be more soundproof and more durable. It's going from a stainless steel powder coat to 100% stainless steel cabinet, which is, very good. And it's going to be double wall instead of single, which will decrease the sound even further from what it was initially. So we're going to be in extra good shape there. There's also some additional cooling and some thermal protection that they're building in as well. So we're getting an even more updated unit than we initially anticipated. The installation timeline has gotten pushed a little bit. John is currently on a job with Lake Savers up in Michigan. He's going to be attending the NALMS conference in Cincinnati. He assured me he tried to do everything he possibly could to get it, a little earlier in October, but it's not going to work out. So it's probably going to be late October when we start the install date. So not a lot, but I just want to keep everybody updated on that timeline. Once I get some more solid numbers, of course, I'll pass those on as well.
And I know you met with our electrical contractor and the excavator this week. Can you give us an update on what's happening over there?
Absolutely. Everything is great right now. We actually have a little less cost than we had imagined and a little less headache because we're able to get our power line underneath the drainage pipe that comes out in that drainage ditch right there instead of having to either cut the pipe or go 5 feet below that bottom ditch, which would put us almost at, as you stand, 8 or 10 feet below ground.
Right.
So we were a little worried about it caving in, but we can actually dive under the pipe with that right now and just bring the power line around the side. Pacific Power has our payment, and our design is on file, and they're scheduling that right now as soon as our pad goes in and our power from Justin of Greenlight Electrical gets installed. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the pad and the excavator come out and do the trench, get everything in. install the compressor pad, which is 4x8 gravel, built up 12 inches per spec as we decided. Once that's done, Justin is going to come with green light and install our electrical box and infrastructure on our side and run the lines through the trench and stub them out over near the power pole. And once we're complete with ours, Pacific will come in, they'll install the power pole, and they'll install the 600 amp service and bring it down and make the connection. Once that is all complete, that's our role in the infrastructure installation. John will be here shortly after with Lake Savers with all of his equipment and our unit, and he will start the install.
I was wondering, as I visited with you out there the other day, I wonder if, is there any signage that's going to go on that's already canned signage, or should we be putting, at least thinking about that, because we need to have not only safety but informational sign?
Yeah, I believe that would be something that we need to go ahead and start thinking about, and that's kind of a basic function of the district.
Right.
So I can individually just, talk with a couple of board members and work that up. So
Yeah, figure out what kind of signage we need there so that it's not only cautionary but informational too.
Well, Bill and Julie did an outstanding job revising our signs and everything, getting them all up on the park and getting us a better image there. So maybe if she's got some time, I'll be able to get up with her and we can get some good ideas and get it ordered. So.
Thanks, Josh.
No problem. Our next project is the video monitoring project. The equipment is in. Jim Dewey's design is currently programming the cameras right now to get them interfaced with our website so we can plug them in directly, which has been one of our big holdups. Many of these almost all of these camera solutions want you to go to their website and pay them a monthly fee, and it was just going to be outrageous. And there was no way to actually get it to our website hosted, which was, of course, our big goal with this project.
Right.
So we are working through it. Excuse me. October. Hopefully we'll have all those up and running with no issues. But we do have the equipment on hand. The Airstream Pro Shoreline Aerator, our lake contractor, has gotten down to Vivian's. It's been doing a great job down there. We haven't had any issues with it. I've taken a little bit of video and been down there a few times and checked on it. There's, like we've seen in all the other locations, we've got a lot higher water clarity. We're not seeing any turbidity. We're seeing tons and tons of fish and other wildlife in the area around it. So they are really enjoying being able to breathe in the water again. So that's been having a very positive effect down there as well. And I think that is the end of my briefing. Any questions?
I got a question. Notes and commentary. It says we have been redesigning and upgrading the compressor enclosure for better durability, sound reduction, la-di-da. So does that come with costs, extra costs?
No, this is all just
Still
his new
inclusive?
design and on him. It's not any additional cost to our contract.
So as far as you know, did we have a drawing for the pad? Is there a drawing or a blueprint?
Yeah.
Shows the pad and the elevation.
Yes. Yeah.
whatnot?
Yeah, we have that, and even the compressor cabinet, we have specs and designs and drawings on that. So, and several other designs and drawings from Pacific Power and Justin with Greenlight. And
So we didn't actually pay for a design architect or a engineer to set anything. It was done by PP&L and Justin.
Correct. Yeah, it's such a small footprint of the project that we're going to be putting up, and it's so simple in its design that there was no need to bring in.
Yeah, I just had a little
or
concern
engineer.
with elevation of this electrical unit, because in worst case scenario we have a 14-foot or maybe possibly a 15-foot elevation or water elevation difference depending on the time of year. So I just want to make sure we're covered when this box is sitting on the ground. If it's
No, we're planning on building up at least 12 inches inside that 12 inches above ground surface. You think that would be sufficient for lake conditions?
When you say 14 feet, what do you mean?
above sea level.
Oh, I was going to say
We
lake
should
level?
cite it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, we need to cite it to make sure that that never ends up underwater.
Right.
Should be at the highest point. So probably take a measure at the dam, we're just under 9.0 right now, right? So at the lot level, that's the level of what the water is, and then we just need to cite an elevation to see at the bottom of that pad, or the top of the pad,
Yeah.
where you're going to put it, how high it goes up, because
Well, if it goes up to 14 or 15 feet, my house is in jeopardy.
well, I don't think it, but we certainly
Even 12.
It's
need
currently
to
at 14
end
feet?
up being
No, 9
11
right
to
now.
12, I would say.
Oh,
Right,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And
it
the-
was 11.6 2 winters ago.
Well, I think this last winter we had 11.4.
It was 10 of sand at the dam, so it went up to almost 11
Yeah.
before they opened it.
Right.
We can,
And
we
what's it
can,
at currently?
9.
it's at 9 right now.
No, not the lake level, the pad
Oh,
elevation.
we don't have like a surveyed elevation on it yet.
Oh, okay.
So we can
That's what-
reconfirm that. Might be able to. Bill, do you have a level or no?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
has a
we
regular
can-
level we can
Yeah,
take
we
out
can
there
get
and do
that.
it.
Sure.
Well,
We can just go
I
do that.
wonder, just thinking, I wonder if, if the lake is that high and it's in jeopardy, it doesn't happen overnight. I wonder if there's, how hard it would be to, move, if we saw that everything was coming up and we might be in jeopardy of, inundating into our compressor, that we might be able to move that. Is it capable of that? Is it too big for that, or how?
No, I think that given the designs and specs that I've seen in conversations with John, that wouldn't be a huge issue. We're going to be putting on a gravel pad, so we're not going to be bolt anchoring it into concrete. It stays put where it's at. I'm sure it'll be heavy, but it has 4 legs, so we could essentially block it up. But I'll confirm with him and ask him that exact question. And also keep in mind that this, the bottom of the compressor cabinet itself is going to be 12 inches. So if we build up the ground service 12 inches inside the pad, the legs will be another 12 inches before it actually got to the equipment itself. So we're looking at about 24 inches right there. Not that we want it to even get water on the legs.
Yeah, and I think if it's somewhat close in relativity to the same elevation as the street, then we'd be pretty safe.
Okay.
'Cause I don't think I've ever seen water that high. Have you? Anybody else?
I hope not.
At Sandpoint? Yeah.
Like I said, I
No, the
think.
highest I've ever seen the water is in the dip between my house and
Yeah.
the log house.
Oh,
I think if it got up to road level, there'd be a whole lot of
On Loop Drive
other
especially, yeah.
homes and stuff.
right.
But,
But-
and then we're also, I think
That's
we're,
just lake, that's just water, rainwater. That's
Right.
not a,
and then also
tsunami.
we're
No.
insured, so
Correct.
we should be okay, as long as we're taking the right precautions. Great. All right. Anything else on projects and operations? I think we've completed that. New business, D River sand removal. You want to give us an update on that?
Absolutely. We've been developing a project around the issue we have down at the Deer River with the sand buildup that we continually get from the king tides. This used to be a maintenance activity. However, due to some changes in regulatory processes, we're unable to remove the sand years past, and now it has built up. It's became quite a bit larger problem for us. So there was an effort of, I believe it was about 2 years ago, and Tina had helped with this to spearhead it to try and get some of the sand out of there. The issue became that the sand is so prolific right now, there is so much of it, that the amount approved through the permit that we were working with was only about 2,000 cubic yards, and we're talking about needing to remove well over 100,000 cubic yards of sand or more to be able to make an impact down there. So unfortunately, that permit and that effort isn't going to do what we need it to do down there, especially after this last round of king tides last year really beat us up with the sand deposition and logs down there. And a district and lake contractor has been very busy this year alone just trying to keep the logs out of the waterway. So we have developed a list of tasks and interested parties in this proposal. Us, of course, we can help with coordination and outreach, committee assignment, special projects, and events communication. Committee can be involved. DLNA can help in outreach and informational meetings. Commercial businesses on and near the lake and the D River, of course, are going to be impacted by this as well. So they're also going to be stakeholders and interested parties. So we'll circle around to them and talk to them as well. We've been working with Lincoln City. We're trying to reach out farther to the county and state level to see what other assistance we can get, because this is truly becoming a very large problem. If too much sand is impacted down there, it's going to threaten properties, business properties, commercial properties, and residential in and around the lake, and we do not want that, of course. Really, those canals as well. I've been down there a lot, and even in the almost 2 years coming up that I've been here, the amount of sand that's flowed into those 1st and 3rd Street canals has completely choked them at this point. 1st Street, I think, was dry the other day. There was barely any water moving at all. So it's definitely something that's getting worse. What we have, of course, is we have our board, we have our staff time, we have DLNA and board members, community organization that's done a lot with the district and around the lake to help these efforts. We have the City of Lincoln City, which we spoke to, and they're aware of the issue, and they're working with us to come up with solutions. The Visitors and Convention Bureau is also interested. Lincoln City will be taking over Wayside Park very shortly here in the fall, and that's going to be a very key area, being a corridor to the city. It's very visual. It's very important that that looks inviting, as it should, and it should be maintenanced, and that's what we're working towards. The Siletz Tribe, of course, have been our partners on several of these projects, and they will certainly lend their expertise or hand to us to complete a project like this as well. Lincoln City Chamber of Commerce, also very interested, of course, with their business support. I mean, the fact that there are a lot of commercial businesses down there already, or a few commercial businesses anyway, and there's a few more on the docket that have been spoken about maybe developing some of that area down there commercially to put it to a good use. So.
Because Hostetler Park was one of the places that Urban Renewal was trying to get a developer to come into, right?
Correct. And last I spoke with some of the city personnel, they had several interested parties down there as well. Okay. So I think this is good timing, and it's going to come to the forefront with us, hopefully get us a little more assistance and support in this project. Ducks Unlimited staff we've also approached about this issue too, to put it on their table, since they're involved in such a broad category of projects like this. But right now, that is what district staff is working on. We're trying to develop a more solidified plan and bring all these people to the table and see if A, they have any ideas, B, what kind of support they can give for this project as well. So it's a very, very big project.
So are you, when you say support, are you support putting the permit forward, monetary support?
Any support.
All of that.
We need it all for this one.
Okay.
So.
Well, I think that staff has been coordinating or trying to work with the city. Currently has a permit that we help out with if there's dredging that goes on west of the river. It's the east part, west of the bridge, but it's east part of the bridge that needs to be addressed, and I think they have a plan in place to try to modify that permit so that
the west side permit.
Yes.
That the city holds.
So, because, it was like we've talked about in previous meetings, Steve and others have talked that, these are caused by events, and it's not materials coming from the lake, it's materials coming from the ocean. And so my hope is that, our hope, I think, is that we can modify that permit to have the appropriate agencies recognize that these are events that take place, and we need to be able to treat those similarly to how we do the west side.
Well, if I could make a comment here, we feel that the process won't be as long if we bring these stakeholders listed here, Blue Heron Land and Vivian's, Kylo's, in at Lincoln City, Roadway Inn and Suites, Comfort Inn and Suites, D Sands Motel, Shearwater Inn, and then we bring in the City of Lincoln City for discussion, Siletz Tribe and the State of Oregon agencies that oversee this, that what we want to do is modify the current permit rather than going through and communicate it that it is events that are causing this, and it has to be part of the removal on the west side also. And we've identified all of that sand as coming from the beach.
Sure. And I think ongoing, they're willing to do that. My concern is that how do we get the 100,000 yards that is from X number of events out the first time? Because and that was what they communicated to us when we went to the pre-permit meeting. I don't know what it's called. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Well,
yeah,
our hope
pre-permitting.
is that through not only the state, the city, and through their contractors, that there's a way we could just put it back on the beach. Because what's going to happen is it's just going to pile on top.
Oh,
and
sure,
pile
I
on
agree.
top.
And I think if we can get that done, I think that is terrific. I'm just concerned that I think that they will allow that for ongoing of any time we remove stuff from the, it sounded like that they were willing to have it an ongoing event, that we wouldn't have to apply for a permit every time. My concern is that this time, it's removing sediment that has been there for, I don't know how long, a long time, so, a lot of it. And so are they going to let us remove that 100,000 yards without an event happening? You know what I'm saying, an emergency?
Well, that's the discussion, I think,
Yeah.
that we don't want to overcomplicate it, the group, because it's obviously that we've taken care of events only on one side of Highway
And not the
101, which has created the current event.
Right.
So whether or not,
Sure,
we have to,
and
do
that's
we
a
have
great
to
way to
wait
put it,
until the
is
next
that-
storm and it's even harder to get all of that out? But we first need to say an event is an event, and it doesn't matter if it impacts, it doesn't just impact, I should say, one side of the
Right.
bridge. It impacts both, always.
Do we have a copy of the west side permit?
Yes.
Is there specific language in there that says where you have to stop?
There's even a drawing.
Oh, okay.
Well,
And it's been revised a couple times
and,
even.
And, the city holds really the permit.
That's
We
their
have
permit.
a copy of it.
Right.
So that permit is quite old, too, when it was originally established, and it just gets removed.
But what we're hoping is just to update and
We want to have the
expand that permit.
conversation with regards to the original intent of that emergency permit, and show them physical evidence that if we're going to take care of an event, we have to truly take care of the whole event, not just partially, because it is a domino effect.
And does anybody know the history? Because, we used to just do it.
That's
I don't know.
Sacrifice to everything, by the
That's
way.
the
No, I'm just kidding.
environmental regulations that have taken place all over the lake.
In the past 30 years, they've
Right.
pretty much ended that, just take a machine down there and dig it out.
Right.
So, when did the west side permit come to fruition?
The west side permit, I'm not sure the initial date. I believe it was just a couple years ago it got
Right.
refreshed and
Right.
renewed.
Well, it's...
Well, right, but I guess the reason I'm asking is because we used to dig out both sides, I'm assuming with no permit. And then we got a permit just for the west side. Why was it just for the west side?
That I do not know.
Does anybody know?
Well,
Because when the lake plugs up, they want to be able to unplug it.
Right, but
And-
why did it stop where it stopped versus taking the sand out all the way?
Because I think it's just opening up the lake. It's not considered Well, I don't know personally what
Okay.
the termination is.
Well, I think we can
but
I
get
mean,
that.
that would be a good thing to find out, of why did it stop there?
I think if we talk to
Yes, it
Lila,
goes
we could
another
get
100
that,
yards.
but my speculation would be we were unplugging it, the city was, because the lake was plugged. And then they decide to go through the proper channels and get a permit to do
Right.
it.
But why did we draw the permit line where we drew it, I guess is what would be interesting to know. Was there something magic about it? Was easier to get a permit if we stopped right there?
Well, I'm assuming,
Is that the beginning of the river?
well, I'm also assuming that, you know, when the lake became essential salmon habitat, that just kicked into all sorts of different things that has affected, you know, property owners and such within the lake and what we can and can't do and how
Fill and
things change over
removal.
time. Yeah, things change over time.
Well, and I think the timing's right
It
to
is.
work as partners with the city.
Right.
Because this last event, the storm last year, even the city removed the amount of sand that the permit said.
Really?
But they could do that because the permit states whatever it takes to get the flow going.
Okay.
So I just think talking to Lila during that event, I think the timing is right to readdress the boundaries of the permit and really go back and look at the language to ensure that there's some way that we can take care of the other side of the bridge. So if it's a separate permit or whatever, it doesn't really make any difference because it makes no sense to unplug to the bridge when you're still plugged.
Sure, 100 yards further.
Yeah, so.
No,
yeah,
I
And
agree.
it
I
will
was
get to
wondering if
that
there was
point.
just
You
a
have a
magic-
big enough event, you know, they can dig it all the way out to our dam and it could still be clogged.
Mm-hmm.
Theoretically,
Absolutely.
Well, it is right now,
close
pretty
to it.
much.
So anyways, I think the alignment is right to work with not only the city, but the stakeholders, because they're wanting to put some investment around the park
Right.
there.
Well, and I think it's just, you know, that what the public needs to know is that we've recognized this problem as a board for a number of years, and we're in the process, we actually are working at doing something about it. Our staff has been working on, you know, ways in which to approach this, and I think that's our best bet to get.
Well, and yeah, I appreciate that if we're going to do it, and as much as I hated to abandon what we thought we had in hand, I appreciate the fact that you guys recognize that it really wasn't going to help anything. And so, you know, well, it's taking us way longer, and I think it will probably take quite a while to do it correctly. I think it's worth the effort to
Yeah, I
do
think
it and
it's,
get it done the right
it's
way.
the more people we can get involved that have claim or stakes to hold in the procedure would be pretty much just like our lake movement. We're trying to improve the water, so we get the city. If we get some of the motel owners, if they continue to make headway on Hostetler Park, that might just be the
Catalyst.
yeah, the
Well, and our
catalyst for all these
wetlands are in
people to-
jeopardy. You know, if the lake, if the wetlands have water over them all the time, that's not healthy. The canals. So we're really at a point with the height of the sand that we will have a ripple effect in the lake, in the canals, in the wetlands. So I think that's, the timing again is
But
right.
yeah, I mean, it's almost time for the fish to start running, and there's no place for them to run.
They'll come up.
Yeah.
Off over the sand.
They will.
They go across East D, so
Yeah. Thanks, Josh. Actually, I think after our comments the last couple of meetings, I think the plan that you've developed, at least we can see it, and now it's scheduling that meeting with Lila in the city is where I would start and find out some specifics on the permit and kind of show her who we have as partners and your concerns, and then, report back to us, next meeting, if you've got that meeting with Lila.
We actually already started an initial meeting with the
Okay.
city, and we spoke with Lila and Ron. They're aware of it, and we are moving towards some cooperation to get this thing going. So.
Okay, great.
Thanks,
Cool.
Josh.
Exciting.
Non-agenda items, do we have any from the board? I have one. Just a quick note, on Tuesday, the board and staff met as an initial meeting to update the Devils Lake plan. And so we had 3 board members in attendance, and I think we have outlined what our priorities are, and that should be, after those comments and stuff, should be available, I think, next meeting. Is that correct? And then,
Correct.
and then see, present that to the board and the public in a formal way. And then our plan is to, once that's finalized and accepted by the board, at least to have initial comments, put it out for the public, and then to finalize, an updated version of the Devil's Lake plan.
Correct.
That was a good step too, Chair. We've been wanting to look at that and update it, and I guess the only comment that I would make in addition to that is our objective with the plan is to have it updated every year. And I think it's an important instrument that will not only tell us what our objectives are, but what our goals are going forward, and then we can update those goals every year, and it will be part of this board to, along with, Josh, to update those goals every year.
Right.
So,
Any further non-agenda items from the board?
Chair,
Yes.
I just wanted to let you know I won't be here for January meeting.
Okay, well, that's early enough.
I'm getting
to
my
let-
first dibs in for vacation in
Okay.
January.
All right.
Vacation requests will be taken at later dates.
Do we have any comments, additional comments from citizens present on agenda or non-agenda items? Additional board comments? I feel like we're, just myself, I feel like we're moving in the right direction. Things are going to be happening here in the next 60 days, and exciting times. And then this winter, I think we'll end up planning for the future for shoreline projects and stuff, which is another part of our goals for, improving water quality on the lake, and things are moving in the right direction, so it's exciting times. Any other comments? With that, hey, this is a short meeting. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for supporting the board and what's taking place as we get closer to the time when we're actually going to install our aeration. We'll keep you informed on that with regard to our website and our meetings, and let's keep up the good work. Thanks, guys. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.
Oh.
No harmful algae, just harmful.
Yeah, we haven't had
I
any
know you
happen
weren't
this
at the
year,
meeting.
and we didn't
Yeah.
last year, and we tested twice
How's it
last year
going?
when we got the bigger blooms. But nothing. We haven't even had a green bloom this year
I know,
that would
I'm so
indicate us to
sorry.
run the test. So
Well,
we
There's
didn't
no
have
way
to
I
buy any of
Yeah,
those.
that's okay. You can look at it, all it really was a little bit, Tom's been working on this for a long time.
Right.
And so it was just little things.
I had quite a long conversation with Josh today and got caught up on that, and I've got, hopefully, my emails. I have an email from him about the original dates and my reply to that, and then nothing.